Kidwell here with us today. He is an expert in public speaking, presentation, PowerPoints, and all things having to do with talking to people. With that said, I want to challenge you to educate Mr. Kidwell about what we are doing, so the things that we're talking about and the things that we've learned from other guests in here. And then, Mr. Kidwell, if you don't mind sharing like what you specifically talk about or your expertise,
okay.
And then we'll open up with some Q&A.
Okay.
So do I have a few people to kind of volunteer and talk about what we're studying? Because Mr. Kidwell's kind of, he doesn't directly connect with us, but he can help us with our process. Steven, go for it.
Right now we're planning to modernize our classroom with new 21st century technology and learning environments. So we're coming up with a proposal to propose to the school board and a prototype of what our classroom's going to look like in the new 21st century learning environment.
Okay, very good.
Anything else that we could add to it in terms of like what we've learned from our other speakers and things? Are we missing anything that may not have been said that Mr. Kidwell would definitely need to know with our study?
You have a comment?
We're presenting a lot of like professional sources and stuff, like the school board and other things that might not take us seriously if we don't have a good presentation. So,
Well, that's absolutely true.
yeah.
Do you have a comment? You had your hand raised.
She took it.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Mr. Kidwell, can you tell us a little bit about your expertise then?
Well, what I do for a living is I teach adults. Okay, I teach adults basically in the career of real estate, finance, appraising, anything to do with buying and owning and selling real estate, which you'll all be doing someday in your life. Everybody's got to live somewhere, right? So anyhow, I am a graduate of Hayworth High School, and I know you're going to be talking to HEF, which is the Hayworth Education Foundation, of which I was one of the founders, and my wife is one of the people you will be presenting to. She is a grade school teacher, and she will be in part of the group. Some of you had Mrs. Haynes, she's on the committee too. And it's important when you speak to people to know who you're talking to know who your audience is, and you know what's their background. So anytime you're going to speak to anybody, research who the people are. Now, one thing I would tell you if you're going to talk to somebody about anything, do you make eye contact or not?
Yes.
Why is eye contact good?
Notice that you're focused and listening.
Okay? Yes?
I learned from a social skills group that if you make eye contact, then it shows that you are trustable and not shady.
Okay? Very good. In American society, that's true. Now, if you go to different cultures, if you decide to become an international business person, travel around the world, that is not true in all cultures. But in America, eye-to-eye contact is trustworthy and honesty. Okay? Can you stare at somebody too long? To where it gives them the creeps.
Yes.
No.
Okay? Absolutely.
You wouldn't want to do that because then like they would get kind of uncomfortable, you know.
Right. So making good eye contact is fine, but try to make eye contact. If you're talking to a group, you want to try to make eye contact with every person in the group. Now, do you think it is good to have notes with you?
Yes.
Okay. How about handouts for the people who are okay? Especially if it's something like this is very technical or there's numbers involved, just saying it or throwing a bunch of numbers on a PowerPoint and make them write down. If they're busy writing, it's hard to keep writing and keep listening. So you want to have some handouts that they can take with them, because oftentimes in this situation, you'll be making a presentation to a group, then you'll be leaving, and then they're going to be discussing what you just said. So if they got something in their hand to look at, that's fine. Okay? However, you should not read through this, and don't bore people with the details. You know, okay, you'll see on line 2, $1,293, and you know, you don't have to read everything to them. Why have the handout if you read every single thing to them? But you can reference it for later. Okay? So, how about this? If you're talking on any topic, should you know what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay? So having notes for yourself is good, When we get in next spring, I'll come back and help you with your Genius Hour. When you get in a Genius Hour and we start doing your talks, 3x5 note cards are fine, or a single sheet of paper is fine, but do not ever write down a speech verbatim and read it, okay? Bad, bad, bad. The problem is, if you're just reading words, if I'm going to read a speech to you, why don't I just hand it to you and let you read it? You know, if you're just going to repeat what's on a piece of paper. So you need to show, also when you're speaking, you need to raise and lower your voice. Oftentimes, young people, when they're speaking, use a monotone, right? We're used to speaking at the same rate and same pace and saying the same words over and over again. So vary your tone. Also, use your hands, okay? One of the problems, especially when you first start speaking, is what do I do with my hands, okay? Here's what the guys mistakenly do. Well, I think we're going to talk about, school day, right? You know? And then, when I speak, so I don't do this, I remove everything in my pockets when I speak. Because you have a tendency to play with whatever is in your pocket, whether it be coins or car keys, or not car keys yet, okay? But whatever's in your pocket, you tend to play with. So, especially the guys, do that. So that's why a 3x5 card or something in your hand for notes is always a good thing to have. Another thing you can use if you're doing PowerPoint, I use a remote PowerPoint changer, and that gives me something in my hand, and it's also something in your hand helps take care of that nervousness. Do you know that the biggest fear of Americans is not dying, it's public speaking. Public speaking, #1 fear. How many love to get in front of people and talk? Love to do it, okay? You're exception, not the rule, okay? And there are great things for people, but everybody needs to learn how to speak. It's a fear we all have, and the only way to get over it, when I first started speaking, I was so scared. If I speak to a group of people, I had a very bad stuttering problem. I would stutter and I would start crying. I would have tears coming down my face. And I learned how to get over it. And after taking some classes on public speaking, all of a sudden you like doing it because it's kind of like acting. It's kind of like a natural high you get. It's a wow, I did great. It's like scoring the winning winning touchdown, the winning basket. It's a very fantastic feeling. So anyhow, don't be afraid of it. Once you do it a few times, it becomes pretty easy. But knowing what you're talking about is the #1 thing for any speech, anywhere, anytime. If you don't know what you're talking about, you probably shouldn't be making the speech. Okay? Let somebody else make it who knows what they're talking about. Just like I have turned down teaching assignments because I said it's not an area of my expertise, and always have more stuff than not enough. It's always good to have to cut something short than to go in. I judge high school students' speech contests in the spring. And these are actually a marketing contest we have in Decatur. And the people from all over the state come. And some of these kids, they have 3 minutes. They'll take 30 seconds and they're done. Okay? Have more stuff than you need. Have it planned and have more than what you need when you get there. But set it up in order. All, as I said, do not write it down. You might take a 3x5 word and write key words like, I want to thank them. Thank you for letting us be there. Introduce yourself. If you're with someone, introduce each other, whatever, so you know what's happening. The purpose of what you're there for. You're going to be talking to school board members, right? Is that part of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Who do you think's on the school board? Do you know?
Islam.
Okay. So I'm saying you should research and find out who's in the school board.
We had Mrs. Dobson in here earlier, so we know one of them, 1 of 7.
Okay? And by the way, if you're in a room like that where you know 1 of 7, if you're in doubt about who to look at her. Right? Look at the person you know. If I'm ever teaching in a place where I don't know anybody, I'll try to find a friendly face, someone who you look at and smiles back at you, and if you have to, keep eye contact with that person. That's the person you want to look at, okay? Because otherwise you're going to feel kind of kind of, you know, it makes you nervous when, so if you see an unfriendly face, nah, don't worry about them so much. Okay? What other questions do you have? Yes?
How do you recommend, if we were to stand in front of the school board,
Hey.
how do you recommend we phrase our words?
Well, first of all, you make it in plain English, okay? Don't try to get too fancy with them. If you have something, by the way, this is a good technique too. If you have something technical, explain it to, do not assume your audience knows what you're talking about. Okay? So, if I said to you, I had a PPT file, I'm gonna let you download. What's PPT stand for? Anybody know? That's a PowerPoint file, okay, .ppt. So what I'm saying is, do not use things like that that they would not understand. So if you're going to do a project about a certain kind of table or chairs or cabinets you want, and there's some kind of technical buzzword for that, explain what that is. Or better yet, show them. People love pictures. That's what PowerPoint is for. And by the way, you're doing PowerPoint, the worst thing you do in PowerPoint is hand out an outline, and then what you show in PowerPoint is the outline. Duh, I don't need the PowerPoint if I got it in front of me on a piece of paper. So a PowerPoint should always add to what you're doing. Good pictures, good drawings, good diagrams. If you're going to say, I want certain kind of cabinets up here, get pictures of type of cabinets that you might want to put up there and show them. Your outline could say cabinets, and you could show a picture of what those cabinets might look like. Okay? So use common language that everybody understands. All right? More questions. I know you got them. Yes, sir.
How do you prepare yourself for a presentation?
How do you prepare yourself? Well, the first thing I said was what? Know what you're talking about. How do you do that?
Information research.
Information, research, practice. You know, practice in the mirror, practice with, by the way, next spring we're gonna do speeches for your Genius Hour. Practice, practice, practice. We had kids last year who did not want to practice. And we'd go in little rooms and some people would practice with me. The ones who did not want to practice and think they could do it, get up there and then they freeze and they're, you know, they see deer in the headlights and they're just frozen in time. So not good. So know your facts, go over it. It should be easy once you know what you're talking about. Okay? Other questions? I'm sure Ms. Bonner has some. Rachel, you have no questions today?
How do you organize your presentations?
How do you organize it? Okay? Start out with bullet points, right? Bullet points. I said when you get ready to actually do your presentation, 3x5 cards or something like that, you can, or a single sheet of paper would be fine. 3x5 cards are good, especially when you're new and young, because you can flip through them. When you're down at a point, you can go behind it and keep on moving. Only problem with 3x5 cards is you get nervous. By the way, anytime you do 3x5 cards, number them, because you'll walk in and you'll be nervous. You'll drop them on the floor, and now they're all out of order, and you don't know which one goes first. Okay. What else questions do you have? Yes, sir.
Do you have any advice on presenting our ideas to the board?
Well, once again, here's what you got to think about when you think about the school board. What do you think the school board's here for?
Board the school.
What's the school board do?
Board the school.
What's that? Budget? By the way, let me ask you this. Is there lots of extra money hanging around?
No.
Okay, so you got to put yourself in their shoes. Don't have a lot of extra money. Okay? So if you can show to me, if you want me to do something, persuade me to do something, you've got to show it's going to be in our group's best interest. Is it going to be interest of the entire school district and not just Ms. Bonner? Okay? So you got to think, how's this going to help the school overall? How's it going to help the children overall? How's it going to help you know, people who become citizens and residents of Hayward? How's it gonna help them?